So, good morning from New York, everyone. It's almost 7 a.m. in New York today. Um, I heard that you have learned a lot of things about all the technical stuff, including the literature study, hypothesis, the methodology, the quantitative things, etc., etc. Yeah. Now it's time to learn a little bit about the soft side of the research. Yeah. So about the gap between the theory and practice and how we can remedy this situation. Yeah. Okay, already introduced. My name is Roy Sembel. I'm from Indonesia. Although I'm from Indonesia, I'm stuck in New York right now. Already originally planned only 10 days in New York, but cannot go home because of the COVID situation. Now already more than 3 months in New York. Okay, this is how to contact me if you want to contact me later on, because our session is relatively limited, only about less than 1 hour maybe. So you can contact me by email or social media. Yeah, those are the contact that you can, the item, the email, LinkedIn, etc., etc. Yeah. Okay, for the next about 40 minutes, we will cover this agenda. Let's start with the context of the gap, yeah, because the title is about the gap, right? So before I start, uh, can you answer this question? So if we talk about the quality of the research, what indicators comes to your mind? Yeah. Can we have some chat from the participant here? So if we in Zoom usually we have the chat, right?
Yes, sir. I hope they can write in the chat box and I shall be able to tell you the responses from there. So
Okay,
you
how
may
can
ask,
I see the, oh, there, this is the chat. Okay, can you answer
right,
that question?
right. Sir, if I can
So talking
request you
about
to
the
repeat.
quality of the research. So what what words related
Sir,
to the quality of the result? So
there
Amit
is one,
answer latent variable, practical application from Arjuni, application of research in business situation from Bajpai,
right,
and then practicality or application from Amol Kumar, search something in dimension from Sima, and solution to problem from Arjun again, and then application to the real world, oh, etc., etc. Okay, very good. There are plenty of words came up, yeah, when we talk about the quality of the research, yeah. Very good. Okay, let me share my screen again. Where is this screen? So we have many possibility of defining the quality of the research, yeah. Now, before that, why we need the quality of research? Usually, it is related to the research grant application, yeah, about money, and then about the manuscript and publication. If you have a good quality, then it is easier to publish, yeah. And then also in a macro situation, it's about the national system for producing science and innovation, yeah. The better the system, and then the better will be the innovation for the countries, and then the better will be the competitive advantage of the countries, yeah, etc., etc. Okay, now talking about research quality, I got it from the source Martensen et al. 2016. There are at least several C's, yeah, related to this, yeah, that is credible, contributory, communicative, etc., etc. But in this session, we will specifically talk about the circled one, yeah? The relevant, yeah, the relevant of the research related to the applicable in the business world. So because my background is business and I'm a professor in finance and investment, so I'm talking about the applicability of the research in the business practice in terms of whether the practitioner can use it and whether the practitioner can understand it, something like that. So specifically about this part, not all part, because if we cover all part, it will take days. Yeah. So we only have 1 hour, so it's about relevant. Okay. Okay, can you still hear me,
yes,
everyone?
sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir, we can
Yeah,
hear you.
talking about research quality, well, the the award of the most prestigious about award about this is about the Nobel Prize. Of course, the Nobel Prize here is not other field. This is Nobel Prize in Economics. These are example of the Nobel Prize in Economics, yeah, for the last 30 to 40 years. Yeah. So the names that are highlighted in blues, for example, their research works are very applicable. Yeah. In the business world, we use that a lot. For example, Harry Markowitz and William Sharp about the portfolio theory and capital asset pricing model. The business practitioner in the investment and the finance world, they use it very intensively. Yeah? And also talking about Robert Merton and Myron Scholl, for example, yeah, about the pricing of derivative. The formula Black-Scholes-Merton option pricing formula is widely used in the financial world, etc., etc. Yeah. And then talking about Nobel, several other Nobel Prize winners that are very applicable. In 2017, Richard Thaler. This is about the contribution in behavioral economics. The application is very useful for the business world, right? And also in 2013 about the Eugene Fama, Peter Hansen, and Robert Schiller about the asset prices. Yeah. Wait. Okay. And also this one is about the matchmaking design. Yeah. So between supply and demand, if the natural market, then we can create the market. Yeah. And then the application is plenty. For example, from the graduate of the medical schools to the hospital, they're using this design. Yeah. Okay. And then Nobel Prize winner in economics, there's Tom Sargent and Christopher Tim. This is about the macroeconomic. The policymaker use this research a lot. Yeah, that's the business practice. Yeah, not only in the micro level but also in the macro level. It's basically about the interconnected multi-factor variable, intertemporal things that like that. So I have the picture of Tom Sargent. This one, Tom Sargent. However, I don't have the picture of Christopher Sim. So I substitute it with my picture. Definitely not Christopher Sim. It's myself. Okay. By the way, can you still hear me, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir,
good.
we can hear
Yeah.
you.
Okay, let's continue. So these are the rest of the Nobel Prize winners. You can check it in the Nobel Prize website. Yeah. This is very useful if you want to do your research because you can get the essence of their works. Yeah. It's just a 3 minutes reading because there's a press release for the rest of us. You don't have to be good in mathematics or you don't have to be good in economics, but you can read the summary. It's only the 3 minutes reading. Yeah? For every year, the Nobel Prize Committee, especially in economic science in this case, yeah, provide the summary of the work. Yeah, it's very useful. You can always quote their works in your paper or in your research. Yeah. All right, that's the first part of the agenda. Now we move to the second part about the gap. Yeah. What gap? Okay. So I start with telling a story. Once upon a time, there was an angel had done something wrong in the heaven, and then got a punishment. Yeah, the wings were cut. Yeah, so he cannot fly. Yeah, and then he was sent to the world to do something, and then because he cannot fly, so he used this balloon. Yeah. Can you see the balloon? The air balloon? Hello, everyone. Can you still hear me?
Yes, sir, we can see the air balloon and we can see your
Okay, so because he cannot fly, so he used the air balloon to travel around the world. Yeah. But because it is the first time he used the air balloon, so he forgot to bring the map. Yeah. At the time, there was no Google Map. Yeah. So he was confused where he is right now. Yeah. So he asked a person down there. The person down there look at him. Yeah, it's about 50 meters up there, and then the angel asked the person below that, "Hey, sir, can you hear me?" Yes, I can hear you. Can you tell me where I am right now? And then the person down there look at the angels, with confusing face, and then he answered, well, it is clear that you are in the air balloon, right? Well, and then the angel said, well, sir, you must be an academician. Huh? How do you know? Said the man. Because your answer is very, very good, very true, but it is not useful for me. So that's academician in general, yeah. Autocritic for the academician. So give a true answer, but not very useful. Yeah. And then he traveled again, and then he saw someone down there. Yeah. And then he asked the same question. Hey, sir, down there, can you hear me? Yes, yes, I can hear you. But the person down there is walking very fast. And can you tell me where I am right now? Well, here. You can always check in the map, and then he threw the map down, and then you can check where are you right now, right? Oh, thank you very much, sir. But the problem is, you must be a business practitioner. So how do you know that? Said the person down there. Because you are in the rush, always from the deal to deal. You see something that can be correct, but actually I cannot read the map. So it again, I cannot. There is no truth behind that action. Yeah, that's for the business practitioner. So experience-based action, but in extraordinary situation, it can be wrong solution. In general, it can be right, but in extraordinary solution, it can be wrong. So those are two different type of people: the academician and practitioner. Yeah. So there's a gap between academician and practitioner. Yeah. Okay, the story will be continued later on at the end of the presentation. This is just to illustrate about the gap, yeah, between the academician and practitioner. Yeah. So there is a quotation from Mr. Warren Buffett. Everyone knows Warren Buffett, right? He's among the top 5 richest people in the world. At one time, it's ranked number 1 in 1990s before taken over by the Bill Gates, and then afterward with the Jeff Bezos, etc. So according to Warren Buffett, well, it might be all right in practice, but it will never work in theory. That's according to Warren Buffett. Yeah, that's the gap between practice and theory. And also other quotation, the source unknown. In theory, there is no difference between theory and practice, but in practice, there is. And also another quotation, different kind of quotation. According to Kurt Lewin, there is nothing so practical as a good theory. Yeah? So those are the quotation about theory and practice. So what is the gap issues? Several articles from the journal, Higgins 2015, Amir and Bin Yahya 2014, it says that academia and business have been drifting apart. So academia going this way and business going that way. So the gap is getting wider and wider. And also Tucker and Parker, divergence of opinion regarding the existence and or the significance of the gap. Whether the gap exists, or if it exists, whether the gap is significant or not. Yeah? And then there are more recent paper from Shapiro and Kierman in 2018. One of the biggest challenges facing management scientists has been the struggle to produce knowledge that is both academically rigorous and applicable to practicing managers. So those are the example of the gap quoted in the journal article. Can everyone still hear me? Hello?
Yes, yes,
Okay,
sir.
let's
We can hear
continue.
you.
Yeah. So this is like a blind man try to describe what is an elephant, because most of them will only feel the part of the elephant, like the tail, for example. It looks like a rope, and then the body is a wall, and then the ear, it's like a fan, yeah, and then like the snake, yeah, etc., etc. Yeah, that's a partial truth about the situation. Yeah. Okay. Well, about 5 years ago, I was still the dean of the IPMI International Business School, and there was this conference among the dean of business school in Asia, that is called the Asian Management Conclave. One of the issue raised in that conference is about the gap between the academia and business practice and how the business school can remedy the situation. What's the future path for the business school? Yeah. Well, about the whether the gap exists or not, actually depend on how you view it, theory versus practice. Yeah. In a narrow practice, for example, the business practice, they need the immediate solution. So uh, the gap does exist. Yeah, that's according to the theory, according to the literature. Yeah, for the narrow practice does exist, but for the larger practice, for the theoretician, research community, lecturer, student, regulator, etc., which can wait a little bit because for the long-term impact, maybe the gap can be considered very minimal, relatively minimal compared to the business practice. Yeah, so the gap exists, yes, in some field, and then is it significant? Yes, in some field. So how we can remedy that? Yeah. Okay, before I continue, I will also check whether you can see my screen. Can you see my screen correctly? Hello,
Yes,
everyone.
sir. Absolutely, sir. Absolutely.
Okay, now I will show you a picture. This picture, yeah. Now,
Right.
can you see the picture about
Yes, sir.
the
Three
lady clothes?
different
Yeah.
pictures. Yes,
Okay,
yes.
my question is, please put in the chat. Do
Right.
you see the color of this picture of this clothes? Gold, white, or black, blue? Gold, white, gold, white, or black, blue? Take a look at this picture. What color do you see in this picture? Gold, white, or black, blue? Please put it in the chat. Yeah, I will stop sharing this. I will take a
Uh,
look at the. I will take a look at the slide because I can. I will take a look at the chat. I cannot see the chat when I'm sharing this file. Okay.
shall I tell you the responses from the chat,
Yes.
sir? It will help
Okay.
you to, right? Right.
All right. What's the response?
So most of them are saying gold white,
Yes.
though there are two, three responses for black and blue. But otherwise,
Oh.
most of the responses are gold white.
All right, good. This is interesting because in one other online seminar, it's the other
Right,
way around. Maybe because of the screen or something. But
right,
most of them in the other seminar see it as black and blue, and
right.
some with gold or white. Anyway, the point of this slide is even though we are seeing the same simple things, but
Mhm.
the perception can be widely different. Yeah, some of you may see the left side, the gold and white. Yeah, some of
Right,
you maybe see the black and blue, right? Yeah.
right,
So
right,
the simple picture like this can be perceived differently. Yeah, can be gold white or black and blue. Perception can be very variety, can vary significantly. Yeah. So
right.
that's for the simple things, let alone for the complex thing like the gap, the issue of the gap. So therefore needs some clarification about the issue, right? So talking about the gap, this is related to the business knowledge supply chain. So we have the supply chain of the business knowledge, starting from the discovery, that is the knowledge production, and then the knowledge transfer, and then knowledge utilization. And then at the end, it will have the impact. Yeah. And of course, from this, there will be some feedback. For example, from the knowledge transfer, can have feedback to knowledge production. From the knowledge utilization, can we have feedback to the knowledge transfer, and from the knowledge utilization, feedback to the knowledge production. Yeah, in order to improve the impact of the business knowledge. Yeah? Okay, now based on the supply chain, there are some potential gap, yeah, problem. The first one is the knowledge transfer gap. It happens somewhere here, knowledge transfer gap. Yeah. So this is about the communication problem. How the researcher can grab the attention of the audience, and then can build the interest, and then create the desire to read and then to study the research, and then after that persuade them to take action. It's the AIDA, yeah? Attention, interest, desire, and action. That's communication problem, because in plenty of the research publication, the language of research publication is far from user friendly to the business executive, right? So that's communication problem. The second one, access, because only limited access to the academic journal, and then the business practitioner cannot access the academic journal because of the requirement, or even sometimes because of the technology utilization. Yeah, because communication is about man, message, and media, right? And timing problem, because the business practitioner need immediate solution, while the research can take months or even years to find the solution. And then let alone when they publish will take some time for publication because of reviewing, etc., etc. Yeah? So there can be a loss in translation, meaning that almost no manager, very few manager, turn to find the solution to their problem to academic journal. Even though in the academic journal there can be plenty of potential solution to their problem. Yeah. Okay. Next. Again, please answer in your chat. This is for the interaction. Yeah. What do you see? It is 3 bars or 4 bars? Can you still hear me? Hello, everyone.
Yes, yes, sir.
Yeah.
We can hear
Please
you.
answer in the chat, and then the moderator
Yes.
will tell me about the answer. 4 bar or 3 bars?
Sir, the responses are for 4. There is one single response for Miss Rosie and Miss Anushka, 2 for 3. But otherwise, most of the responses are for 4.
Again, the same simple picture. You can have a different perception. If you see it from the left side, it can be 1, 2, 3, 4, right? But if you see it from the right side, that is 1, 2, 3.
Right. That's what Dr. Vajpayee has responded in the chat box. Left hand 4, right hand 3.
4 can be 4, can be 3, right? There's another example of the different of perception for the simple facts. Yeah. So, after the knowledge transfer gap, this one, then the knowledge transfer gap is here. And then we move back to the knowledge production gap. Yeah? Knowledge production gap can be caused by the cultural problem, because the culture of the academician, yeah, is different from the culture from the business practice. Like the story that I told you before about the air balloon and the angel. Yeah, there are 2 different type of people, the academician and business executive. Yeah? So the root cause is we can trace back a long time ago in the institutional problem. During the 1900s, the relevant when the business school was set up, yeah, the purpose is to be very relevant to business practice, respect for relevance, and then research for curiosity and finding solution. That was then about 100 years ago. And then because of the need to be recognized in the academic world, and then the business schools start to increase the what they call the academic rigor. Yeah. And then they reward the professor, the tenure track trustees, because of their publication, which is very academic rigor, and then gradually become more and more irrelevant, irrelevant in the business world. Yeah. And then the research tend to be for the sake only for the academic publication, which is very academic rigor, and then forget about the respect for the relevance at which the original business school was set up about 100 years ago. Yeah. There's a good book about this, about the rules, ritual, and the rhetoric of change. Yeah. This is the good book about this history. Yeah. So this one is called the loss before translation. Before, it is a loss in translation because of the knowledge transfer. And then now it's the loss even before translated. That is the tendency for the academic researcher to design studies without the input from the managers or employees. The population that their studies result are meant to help. Yeah. So there's a gap again between the theory and then practice because of this situation, knowledge production gap. Yeah. Okay, we have covered this 2 agenda, and then how to close the gap. Yeah, closing the gap. So in the conference that I mentioned about 5 years ago, the academic deans of the dean of the business school And then there is a discussion about this chart. Yeah. So about the academic rigor on the one axis and then business relevance in the other axis. Yeah. The old business rule tend to be relevant to business when that was set up 100 years ago. But gradually move to the what we call the modern business school, try to get the academic recognition, becomes the academic rigor is focused now, the high academic rigor. Yeah. And then based on the discussion 5 years ago, the business school should move to have a balance between academic rigor and then business relevant. So the ideal should be somewhere here, so they can contribute to the knowledge, the academic rigor, the knowledge production that is relevant to the business practice, because the name is the business school, right? Okay. So how can business school move toward this ideal business school? Yeah. First, there are several pillars for that. The brainware, meaning the human capital. How we reward the professor. Is it based on very strong academic rigor or balance between academic rigor and business relevant? Are we counting their points to move up to the tenure only based on the academic journal or also based on their contribution to the business practice? Yeah. And the software is the organization. The organization of the business school should think about this also, yeah, about the balance between the academic rigor and then the business relevant. The hardware, meaning all the supporting infrastructure, should also be set up to support that balance between academic rigor and then business relevant. The marketware, meaning the product of the business school, yeah, the curriculum, etc., should also reflect this balance between academic rigor and business relevant, so that we can create a good culture of balance between academic rigor and business relevant, so that we can achieve the common goal to become the ideal business school with the relatively high academic rigor and then high also on the business relevant. So can contribute to the academic knowledge that is relevant to the business practice. Yeah? So, how to make the business school research more relevant to business practice, to increase the quality, this part of quality, yeah? Not all quality, but this part of quality. This according to Shapiro and Kirkman 2018. We can approach this at least 3 items. Yeah? First, the pluralistic approach to scholarly impact. So we measure the impact not only from the academia world, but also from the outside world, meaning the impact to be the business practice, yeah, the use of that research in the business practice. And then the second one is the responsible research. That is the balance, the interest of shareholders with the social and economic outcomes of the companies. Use rigorous research method to understand puzzling local phenomena and seek truth about all else by using ethical research method. That's the responsible research. And last but not least, it is about orchestrated collaboration of all stakeholders to achieve that balance between academic rigor and business relevant. Yeah. These are the description: scholarly researcher, business school administrators, funding agency. Those are the stakeholders: government, practicing manager, and journal editor, to work together in a concerted way. Well, the end point is the balance between the academic rigor and then the business relevant. All right. Now, one of the important things to move toward that balance is to allow the people, the professional in the school, the business school and the research world, to have what we call the hybrid career. This is not a silo career, for example, silo career in research alone, or silo career as a business people. There are plenty of possible career in between. Yeah. This is the spectrum of the career for the business people. Can be a researcher, even researcher can be pure research or applied research, and the lecturer in the formal degree program of the business school or in the executive education training program that usually offered by the business school to the business world, or can be a consultant, or can be the business executive itself, like a professional executive like the management, directors, commissioners, etc., or entrepreneurs and investors. Those are the spectrum between academician and practitioner. Or instead of getting only one silo career, why don't we encourage people to have the hybrid career so that he or she can be in several possible career path at the same time. That's the real world. The real world is not in the silo, but can be combination of things, right? So that is bridging the theory and practice also, because that kind of people will also take a look at the potential application of the research as well as the academic rigor. Uh, can everyone still hear me well? Hello, everyone.
Yes, yes, sir. We
Okay.
can hear you. We can see you, and your
All right.
PPT as well.
Good, good. About hybrid career, actually, we are going to talk about it in the next session. Yeah, this is the next session before the takeaway. Yeah, hybrid career. Well, I will give example of myself, talking from the uh, experience as a career in the hybrid world. Yeah. This is my roles. Yeah, I am the academician researcher starting in 1984. At that time, I was still senior in the undergraduate program, become the assistant lecturer for mathematics, calculus, statistics, etc., etc. Yeah, that is the start of my career as an academician. Yeah. And then later on, almost 20 years after that, I become the full tenure professor in Indonesia, and then appointed as a dean consecutive in some of the prominent private business schools in Indonesia between 2007 and 2017. And in addition to become the academician, I also become the consultant at the time during the crisis in Indonesia. The consulting firm, the international consulting firm, McKinsey and Company, needs someone that understands the academic world and the business world, yeah, to get the rigorous approach from the academics, and then very applicable from the point of view of business during the crisis situation in 1998 to 2001. The big project at that time is the restructuring of the banking industry, because the banking industry at that time suffered a lot during the crisis in Indonesia 1998, right? And also uh, afterward, in recent about 7 years ago, become the senior advisor in the Fringe and Partner. That was my career as consultant. As a professional, I become the president director or commissioner. In Indonesia, we have the two-tier uh, governance. Yeah, so there's a board of commissioners and then board of directors. Yeah, so I was the director of Jakarta Futures Exchange and then independent commissioner of the National Bank, that is Bank Niaga, and also a publicly listed companies, and the president director of the gas transportation company. Those are the hybrid career as the professional. As an entrepreneur, well, a long time ago, when I'm still a teenager, I started a small poultry farming, and then later on a taxi business. And recently, founder and co-founder of several startups, including startup in data science, that is Mars Data Science, the IoT, that is the Miota, that's the IoT company, Internet of Things company, the digital media, the Proud Media Group, etc., etc. As an investor, of course, invest in capital markets, small and mid-sized companies, property, etc. Those are my role as my hybrid career: academician, consultant, professional, entrepreneur, investor. So it's almost cover all spectrum of this value chains of the career. Yeah. Okay. These are example of picture of my activities, writing article, and then become the jury for the award of company award, yeah, and giving speech. And then this is the academic career, etc., etc. This is also academic career. So this is the balance between academic world as well as business practitioner. Yeah. Now, some tips for you if you are considering hybrid career. Yeah, start early to work on the two career paths. Yeah, I start early about 35 years ago. Yeah, more than 35 ago, as a business practitioner as well as the academician. Actively participate in student organization event during the study time, of course, and deliberately seeking school majors that will strengthen your academic rigor and then business relevance. actively publish both in the academic journal and then popular professional media, maintain blog, utilize social media to build, expand your network. For example, I have my social media account that is uh, LinkedIn account. If you want to check the LinkedIn account is Prof. Sembel. And then choose business school that values the balance between rigor and relevance. Well, in Indonesia, one of the private business school that practice the balance between rigor and relevance is the IPMI International Business School, IPMI. IPMI is IPMI, International Business School. It was set up in 1982, so already about 30 years ago, yeah, more than 35 years ago, yeah, etc., etc. And choose time to time to try alternative ways of doing things, and then try the work-life balance. Well, I'm still in New York. This is my room in New York. Now I'm speaking from this room actually. And then originally I came to New York not for 3 months, but only for 10 days because my first grandson would be born in March 21st at the time. I came to New York on March 20 and then plan to return to Jakarta March 29. Yeah. But cannot. Yeah. There are two things why I could not return to Jakarta. First, because of the COVID things. Yeah, suddenly the COVID things got worse in New York as well and in Jakarta. And actually, I become infected by the COVID-19 and then hospitalized for several days in New York. Yeah, well, fortunately, I survived. Yeah, so. The work-life balance, it's part of the hybrid career, yeah. Okay, these are some other tips. Participate in facilitating teaching executive education training, not only lecturing in the class, yeah, academic class. And then provide business consulting service so that you know the real problem, the real life problem in the business practice, and then you can search the solution from the academic world, for example. And you can also set up companies in the field of your expertise, yeah, so that you can experience itself the real operational of the business, yeah, not only siloing about finance, siloing about marketing, but overall, yeah. Train yourself to become an expert in business and a very good expert in one field of business. You don't have to be expert in all fields, but at least one field. And then for the rest, you can learn or you can connect to expert people. All right, those are some things I do. I will not read one by one. And then, of course, you can record and share lesson learned from your experience living on the bridge. Yeah. Okay, those are the something for hybrid career. Yeah. All right, last but not least, the takeaways. Yeah, the takeaways again, continuing the story of the fallen angels. Remember before the angels met the two type of people, that is pure academician, yeah, pure academician, and then pure business practice. And then he could not find the answer from those two people. Yeah, and then he goes on travel, and then finally from down from the earth someone called him, "Hey, Mister up there, how are you?" And then the angel confused and then looked down and, "Hey, thank you very much for noticing me. Yes, Mister up there. I saw that you are confused of something, and then I overheard that you cannot read the maps. Yeah, so I can offer you." The way how to read the map, and then I can offer you the guidance where you want to go, yeah, and come down here for a small fee. You can get all the learning. Wow, okay, that's the. And then the angel said, "Well, thank you very much, sir, down there. That's what I really need, yeah, the rigorous solution as well as the applicable solution. So." You must have been in the international seminar in this I.T.S, yeah, according to this angel, because you brings the solution, yeah, rigor and relevant, and then to get result. Okay, those are the end of the story of the angel, yeah. So all of you after participating in this session, well, you will have a balanced view about the academic rigor and then business relevant. So it is rigor from the academic point of view and then relevant from the point of view of the business. So that is a very good result and gives a better quality of the research in terms of the relevant. Yeah. So takeaway, build connecting bridges, but not dividing walls between the academic world and the business practitioner. Okay, I'm done with my presentation. Now it's time for the question and answer. I'll give back the screen to the moderator. I
Right.
will stop sharing.
Thank you
Okay.
so much, Professor Roy, for sharing the insights in a very interesting manner. I'm surely getting the feedback in the chat box that you have a very unique style of storytelling for your presentation, which has really been liked by all our participants and they are appreciating it a lot. Sir, if you allow, can I take up one or two questions now? Professor Roy, are you able to hear me?
Yes, now, yeah. Before it's
Right.
far, now it's
Right.
good.
Okay. So, if you allow, shall I take one or two questions?
Sure, sure. Go ahead,
All
go
right.
ahead. We still
Right.
have about 10 minutes to 15 minutes to question and answer, right?
Right, sir. So there is one question, Mr. Muhammad. He wants to understand that if you can share a few grants that they can apply as they belong to life sciences in order to convert their projects to business. So, are there any grants available which they can apply, especially with reference to life science?
So, well, in my country, in Indonesia, there are Ministry of Health and Ministry of Education. They have this funds, the special fund from the government. It's called the LPDP in Bahasa Indonesia, in Indonesian language LPDP. They provide grants for that kind of research, yeah, life science research. Yeah, not only life science actually. There are plenty of other research. Of course, there is life science research. There's a business research, etc., etc. But then again, in order to apply for that grant, you need to have the proposal, and the proposal contain that relevance, the applicability of the research to the practical situation, not only about academic rigor. Of course, you have to show the method, step-by-step methodology in order to show that it's the scientifically responsible research. And then after that, you have to show why this research is relevant. Yeah? In order to know whether this research is relevant, you can interview some practitioner in that field. What are the major problems facing them? For example, in current situation, it's about COVID, yeah, the COVID-19 things, etc., etc. And based on that keyword, you have to show the keywords, some keyword that connect to the relevance. Yeah. In order to know the keyword that are connected to the relevance, then you have to interview or you have to get the input from the business or from the practitioner in that field. Yeah. And then even in the proposal, you can always quote that according to this, the prominent practitioner in this field, these are the problem, and then you show them, you show in your proposal that you have contacted them or you have somehow communicate with them about this situation. That's why you show that you understand that situation, and then your research is connected to that situation, so that the answer of that problem can be the result of your research. That so the committee for evaluation for the grant will understand. Oh yeah, this is very useful research. Yeah, because our grant is not only for other research that is not very useful, because this grant should be responsible because we need to report the result of this to the stakeholders. Things like that. At least that's in my country. Yeah.
All
From
right.
the Ministry of Education and then Ministry of the Health and then other technical ministries also. Yeah.
All right, that's correct, sir. We have to bring the justice to the grant being given by our qualitative and result-oriented research. So there is another question from a participant. He wants to understand that how to match the industry needs, because lot of gaps are existing between the current and future needs of the industry.
Sorry, I'm losing your voice for about.
I'm, sir, the question is that how to match the industry's need, because there is a lot of gaps which are existing between the current and future need of the industry.
Okay, the simple answer again, you have to have a networking connection with the industry practitioner. Yeah. For example, if you are the lecturer in the business school, you need to have the habits to contact the industry and then to keep in touch with the industry, maintaining connection with the industry, and then also even inviting the guest lecturer, guest speaker, guest lecturer from the industry practitioner in your class. And then at least in AP International Business School, for every half semester, there must be at least one business practitioner guest lecturer, so that the connection between the class and then the industry will always be maintained. And even, of course, the activities, for example, industry visit, and then connecting with the alumni of the schools that currently already have the high position in the C-level position. They are very glad that you can contact them, and then after that maintaining communication with them, and then uh, they are eager to share to their alma mater actually. Well, that's what happened at IPMI. So we have a good alumni network. For example, the owners of companies, the president director of banks, the director of manufacturing companies, the retail industry, etc., etc. So we at least in 1 month there are 5 to 10 sessions from many different classes. Inviting the alumni and then the business practitioner. That way you maintain the connection and you know what happened in the real world directly from the business practitioner. And then even they can have a part of their company's problem to be solved by case study method in the business school. And then you can also ask for a kind of corporate social responsibility grants from that company, to create the case study or research that is related to the company problem. All the C-level position alumni, they are eager to contribute. Well, sometimes with a small grant, or well, from time to time, it can be a real significant grant to the business school of that problem.
Right, right, sir. And I'm happy to share with you, sir, that we at ITS, our each and every course is supplemented and complemented by industry expert. So in
Very
every
good.
course, we get the industry experts for their for taking up the session on that particular subject. So that is a
Very
regular
good.
practice for us, sir.
Yeah,
At
and
this,
that's the way to maintain the balance between academic rigor and then business relevant. How can
very
you
true.
be a business relevant if you cannot connect to the stakeholders of the business? Yeah, that's good. That's very good.
Right. Sir, at this note, there is another question from Dr. Bajpai. He wants to understand that good data from industry leads to better results, and better results help to access to good data from industry. So,
Good.
where and how to break this viscous cycle?
So the
I hope
question
you can.
about accessing the data from the industry, yeah. I
Right,
guess
right,
in
sir.
my experience, because I have a good connection with the business practitioner, then I just call the CEO. Hey, can you do you have this kind of data in your company? If it is company, or there's a business association, industry association, they maintain some database. And if you have a good connection with the, for example, the executive director of that association, then you can contact him or her in order to get the industry data from that field. Yeah. Well, of course, you can always get the access from the official publication, like the in Indonesia we have the Statistical Bureau, National Statistical Bureau. Yeah. Well, I'm also fortunate because the National Statistical Bureau is the alumni of the same university that I attended about 40 years ago. So it's easy just to call him and, hey, hello friend, how are you today? I need this data from the Statistical Bureau. Do you have this data from your staff? Okay, yeah. Okay, what kind of data? Then he will send me the data. It's just a matter of 1 day or 2 days. And also, if you have very good connection with the ministries, like Ministry of Education, Ministries of Industry, etc. Well, I happen to know some of the ministers. So just as a friend, because the minister is around my age. So again, maintaining a good connection and good networking with the business world, it will make it much easier for you to get the data. Even sometimes the secret data, as long as you can contact them and say, okay, I will make sure that I will not publish this is from your company. I will camouflage the name as company XYZ, yeah, something like that, yeah. And then maintain your reputation of secrecy or confidentiality, of course, yeah. Don't just misuse the trust that they give you, yeah, for that.
All right.
Okay, those are
Right, sir.
the question, and then
Uh,
I still have one time for one more question, last question. Yeah.
yes. I'll be happy to take this one last question with you, sir.
Yeah.
This question, he wants to understand that there is some starting between business organizations with academia, but there is a big gap between government organizations with that of academia. What
Yes.
is your recommendations to narrow this gap? I
To
hope he's
narrow that
talking
gap,
about.
again, maintain good communication, good networking, and then create event, join event in order to have the joint speaker and then join participant. Then the informal mingle. Well, unfortunately now we cannot have the physical event at least for the next several months. Yeah, but at least the long run, the medium term, and the long term, you can always do that in order to maintain good communication. In fact, in the informal session, like the coffee session, those are the place where the connection created, yeah, the good connection created, the informal connection, personal connection. Well, in the Eastern countries like Indonesia and India, personal connection is still very important to to get access on something, yeah, not only from the formal. Now, even in New York, I know that personal connection is still important in there, let alone in the emerging countries like India and Indonesia. Okay, those are the quick answer to that. Now, thank
Right,
you very
right,
much
right, sir.
for all the participants, oh, very enthusiastic participant, and also for the all of you, the moderator and the Miss Director, and all the I.T.S professional lecturers, etc., etc. And
Right. Sir,
thank you very much. Yeah.
we are also thankful to you for accepting our invitation and sparing your valuable time and for a very nice and interactive session. You took up all the queries very nicely, and everybody is coming up with a lot of appreciation in the chat box. And to sum up, I would say that yes, content and connection, communication, networking, and continuous relationship building. I hope these are the key takeaways of the today's session in order to bridge this academia research gap. So with this note, sir, we have come to the end of the day 4. Before we take leave from you, I would request our Director Management, ma'am, Dr. Vidya Sekri, to kindly present her concluding remarks. And we will also be happy to present a virtual plaque to you as a token of gratitude and respect. Over to you, Director, ma'am.
Yeah. Thank you, Professor Yashna.
Thank you,
It
ma'am.
was really a very informative, crisp, and very useful session for the faculty members. I am sure that everybody must have taken some insights out of it. Now, 2-3 things I just would like to highlight that rightly said by Professor Roy, that networking is the key today. Second is the problem about data. Data plenty is available because there are many agencies. In India, we are having Indian Statistical Institute. There are few memberships are being given by American Statistical Institute. We have got economic reforms which have been presented by Government of India every year. Apart from that, we have our own databases, like there is a CMI Provis Capital Base, there is a Capital Line databases. So data is available. So data, I don't think should be a problem. The key is arbitrage between a professional and academic balancing is very important. So I feel if these things are followed, and one thing you rightly said, that role of an academician, you have to include, many facets to it. It might be as an industry person, it might be as a consultant, or it might be as a entrepreneur. If we start early in life, I think we are able to balance all these things. And the true practitioner is already tries to arbitrage between two. So I think there were a lot of takeaways. And on behalf of the delegates, the faculty colleagues, I once again thank you a lot for such a wonderful session. So thanks for accepting the invitation, and we are delighted to have you here on this platform. Thank you. Over
You're
to you,
very
Professor
welcome.
Yachna.
Right. Thank you so much once again, Professor Roy. I hope you are able to hear us.
Yes, yes, yes.
All right, sir. Sir, this is a digital and virtual plaque that Director Ma'am has just presented to you. We shall be definitely mailing you all the snapshots and this plaque as well. On behalf of I.T.S Parivar and on behalf of all the delegates, I thank you from the bottom of my heart for your valuable time and very meaningful insights for this session. Thank you so much,
Thank you
sir,
very
for
much.
having you here, sir.
You're very welcome. Thank you very much. Yeah. Okay,
Thank you, sir.
everyone. Good
Bye-bye,
morning
sir.
from New York. Yeah.
Right. Good
Good
morning, sir.
evening in India. Bye.
Right. Bye-bye, sir. Bye. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's how we come to the conclusion of day 4. We had a very interesting session on bridging the gap between academic research and business needs. We shall be meeting you all tomorrow for yet another interesting session. That would be our day 5. That's the concluding day for this 5-day international EFDP. I'm sure you all have enjoyed the journey so far, and we shall be maintaining this happy learning for you all in the next session as well. We shall be meeting you all tomorrow at sharp 2 p.m. And we will be having 2 sessions tomorrow, one at 2, which will be on bibliometric analysis. And the next session from 3:30 to 5 will be on ethics and research. So again, 2 very important and meaningful sessions lined up for you people. Till then, goodbye. Take care, stay connected, and stay positive. That's all for today's session. You all are please requested to now leave the meeting. That's me, Yachna Malhotra, signing off from here.
I.T.S faculty member may also leave the meeting.